Just like with whole numbers, we are going to line up our numbers based on place value, and one of the big places to look is to make sure that you line up your decimal points. So when you're writing the numbers, you want to make sure you line up the decimal point. And then you're going to drop down your decimal and forget about it. And the reason I say forget about it is because you want to add as if there were no decimals involved. You're going to add like normal. You're going to start with your very right side place and you're going to add to the left just like normal, okay? And we're going to do some examples so that you'll be able to see exactly what I'm talking about. Let's say I am adding the decimals 1 3/100 plus 36/100. So step 1 said to line up my decimal points. So I'm going to take that 1 3/100 and be very careful to line up my decimal places, my decimal points. Then step 2 says to drop down your decimal and forget about it. So we're not going to even worry about this decimal anymore. So it's kind of like I'm going to think about adding 103 plus 36. This is what I'm going to be thinking, because I'm going to ignore that the decimal even occurs, okay? For right now anyways. So we're adding these. So go ahead, and 3 is 9, 3 and 0 is 3, 1 and 0 is 1. So my sum is 1 39/100. Over here, if I had just added whole numbers, I would have got 139. But that decimal was important because it was a matter of 139 whole numbers versus one whole number. So dropping down your decimal, if you just drop it, boom, okay, and forget about it, you're going to get the correct answer. Okay. You're going to follow very similar steps to adding decimals. Step 1, you need to line up your decimals. Once you line up your decimals, we're going to, the second step we're going to do is bring down the decimal or drop down the decimal and forget about it so that we can just subtract like normal. The third step is we're going to use our zeros to hold place. Very important subtraction so that you won't have the headaches. In step 4, we're going to subtract like normal. Let's do some examples now. If it took someone 7 8/10 of a second to run from one point to the next, and it took somebody else only 4.9 seconds, which is 4 9/10, we want to know how much faster that second person was than the first, because when you're running, the littler numbers are faster, right? So we're going to subtract to see the difference. So I lined up my decimals, and then my next thing was to drop down the decimal and forget about it. So I'm now just thinking about 78 minus 49. Okay, this is what I'm thinking. There's no zeros I need to put down because all my places have a match, so I'm okay on with my number of digits. There's 2 digits here, so 2 digits there. Now I may have to regroup if necessary, so let's go back to our notes, subtract like normal, and for our 5th step, regroup if necessary. Alright, if we have 8/10, I cannot get rid of 9/10, so I'm going to have to regroup. So I'm going to borrow from the ones place, and now I only have 6 ones. I'm going to give that one that I'm giving, I'm cutting it up into 10 pieces and giving it, so now there's going to be 18 pieces. 18/10 minus 9/10 would be 9/10. 6 wholes minus 4 wholes would be 2. So that person was 2 9/10 of a second faster than the first person. Alright, in these next 2 examples, we're going to look at why it's very important to put 0 in as a placeholder. If you were to try to do the subtraction problem right here, and you try to just stick that 3 down, you will get it incorrect. So you've got to put your 0 in for the placeholder, and then you can subtract like normal.
Instead of 3 and 8/10, we know an equivalent decimal is 3 and 80/100. So we will do 3 and 80/100, and we will take away 2 and 43/100.
So I'm going to put my decimal down and forget about it. Over here I have 0 minus 3, which I have 0 hundredths minus 3 hundredths. I can't do that, so I'm going to go regroup like I do in regular subtraction. And then I'm going to do 10 hundredths minus 3 hundredths, which is 7 hundredths. Then I have my 7 tenths minus my 4 tenths, which I can do in the traditional algorithm, so I get 3 tenths. And then 3 wholes minus 2 wholes is 1 whole. So my final answer is 3 and 37 hundredths. You would not have gotten the right answer if you didn't put that 0 down to hold the place.